One Likud member was screaming in a recording that he doesn't want for the Israeli military to control Gaza. Well, I could scream that I'd like a big cup of coffee. And I could scream that I'd like a big stack of candies. And I could scream that I'd like a huge container of Tums to go with it. But you don't always get what you want. We're 7 months into a war, and we have Likud members, Likud who is supposedly the party of security, Likud members coming out with these absurd statements. It tells me either they have no idea what they're talking about, or that they're not really the right wing. So when we hear Likud officials, members of Knesset, coming out and saying, I want somebody other than Hamas, I want somebody local, somebody other than Hamas to run Gaza Strip, it means they don't know what they're talking about. Who do you want? Do you want PIJ? Are their rockets less deadly? You want Fatah? Their guns are less accurate? The Muslim Brotherhood? PFLP? ISIS in Sinai? No one wants to have military control of Gaza. But if you think that controlling Gaza and going to war and fighting terrorism is a question of what you want, then you're the problem. You can't run a country based on what you want. Otherwise, you might as well join Work Permit Gantz and put your head in the sand and convince yourself that this is an economic issue, that this is an issue of territory. Hamas comes from Gaza. There's no Hamasville, there's no island off the coast where they came in and they invaded and they took over. And before there was Hamas, there was another acronym. There was another alphabet soup. It dates back to the Balfour Declaration, and it dates back to the Hebron massacres, well before there was a state of Israel. And we're talking about Gaza. Gaza, the same place where they give out candies after attacks. The same place where they cheer as they drag Jewish bodies through the street. The same place from which people entered and looted and stole and killed Israelis. And to date, we haven't seen any effort by any Gazans, as far as we know, to turn in to terrorists, to turn in those who have taken hostages. For the 100th time, to the Israeli left and to the Israeli center, and apparently now to the Israeli right, or whoever calls themselves the Israeli right, this is a religious war. They teach their next generation to kill you. The enemy cannot move forward from the wars of their grandparents. So assuming this minister of Knesset is not alone in his thinking, we have to ask, who is the Israeli right wing? Is it Likud? Is it the same party that said nothing when their chairman turned over a 64-mandate right-wing coalition to Gantz and Lapid and held a seat for him so he would come and join them? Israel's first instinct was to do a siege. That siege meant to withhold gas and water and other resources from Gaza with the strategic intent to push Gazans to out any terrorists, to call out any hostages, to fear that if either of those are in their neighborhoods, they could be attacked. Commandos could come rushing in. That was a strategy. You want to use a strategy? Fine. You don't want to use a strategy? Don't use it. But don't change your strategy because of pressure from the United States. Because when the US decided that they're more concerned about Gazan civilians than Israeli civilians, Likud said nothing. When this fake war cabinet allowed for another country to set up a pier outside of Israel's shores, and when half a dozen countries fly flights over our territory to drop aid, Likud says nothing. And even now that the war cabinet is breaking up finally, it's not breaking up because of Likud. It's breaking up because Gantz decided to jump ship. He's had enough. He's had enough.